Hi, and welcome to How They Funded It, a podcast series brought to you in partnership with British Business Bank. I'm Lesley Williams, and in this series we are speaking with entrepreneurs and changemakers who've unlocked the right funding at the right time to take their ventures to the next level. Today's episode is a little different. We're recording remotely, but we've still got an inspiring story to share from the coast of Pembrokeshire. I'm joined today by Tracey Gilbert-Falconer, funding lead at Câr-y-Môr, a pioneering community benefit society farming seaweed and shellfish off the coast of St David's and reinvesting the benefits to their local community. To support their growth, the team secured a major grant from Defra to build a facility including a processing hub, shop and education centre. But to bridge the cash flow gap while waiting on grant payments, they turned to the Growth Guarantee Scheme for support. In this episode, Tracey shares how they manage that funding journey and what others can take away from their experience. Let's dive in. Hi Tracey, how are you doing?
I'm really well, how are you?
Good, thank you. It's lovely to have you join us. And from Pembrokeshire today, I believe?
Absolutely, yeah, down in slightly sunny Pembrokeshire.
Slightly sunny Pembrokeshire, I love that. Right, so to start things off then, tell us about Câr-y-Môr and what makes it such a unique business.
So Câr-y-Môr is a community benefit society, which is basically a structure where we run as a non-profit, and every profit that we make ends up getting invested back into our local community and other like-minded projects.
Nice, I love that. Is there anything that people tend to misunderstand about seaweed farming? I bet you get some interesting comments.
We get some very interesting comments. It's such a new thing, especially in Wales. They've been farming seaweed in Asia for hundreds of years, but in Wales we're still the only one, and we've had our farm in the water now since about 2021, so we're still really new as well. But I think the best way we tend to describe it is it's like a normal land farm, but under the sea. So everything grows downwards instead of upwards, and the sea nourishes everything, so we don't need to add anything to it at all.
That's lovely. I love that. Nice and easy. It's like my kind of gardening.
I know.
So
exactly.
So you're a community benefit company. So can you tell us a little bit more about why you chose that model? What was the motivations around that?
Well, we looked at various models when we started out. I think we landed on community benefit society because we really wanted to be a force for good in that coastal community where we're based. We're in the St David's area, and it's a beautiful place to live, but a lot of work is tourism, which is seasonal. Mm-hmm. So come the winter, there's not a huge amount of work going on down there, and that translates into a lot of the young people that are born and bred in the St David's area and around Pembrokeshire. They tend to move out to find work in the cities, and we kind of wanted to stop that tide really, and offer an alternative, which would be skilled work in something sustainable and something interesting, which would be year round.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And of course, then you're funding lead. So what's that involved? How's that involved with a business like this?
Well, it's my background is traditional charities and non-profit. So Câr-y-Môr's my first community benefit society. So I'm quite familiar with the idea of getting grant funding and applications and that kind of thing. But the difference is the community shares that we can raise, looking at social investments and loans, like we got here as well. And that's all very different from what I'm used to. So it's been quite the learning curve. And you can probably tell from my accent, I'm not born and bred in Pembrokeshire. So I had to learn an awful lot about seaweed as well.
I love that. Okay, well, you've already touched on your funding journey there then, so let's talk a little bit more about that. You secured a major grant from Defra, which is fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what was the process around that like? What was it like applying for that?
It was a long journey, to be honest with you. So what we were doing was researching various grants that were coming up and anything that we might be able to apply for. Our plan was to build a more permanent shop, a bigger kitchen for our shellfish and our seaweed, and to look at finding something to do with our seaweed, because we tend to grow about 50 wet tons worth of sugar kelp every year.
Wow.
And at the moment in Wales and in the UK generally, there's not a huge market. So we looked around and thought, well, we're surrounded by farmers who are having to move towards a more sustainable way of farming in the future. And, you know, farmers in Wales and certainly by the coast have used seaweed on the soil for hundreds of years. So it wasn't a huge leap to make seaweed biostimulants for farmers. So yeah, we went for the Defra application. It probably took about 4 to 6 months of solid work, really, to get that done, plus a further 6 months before we got the results. So all in all, it was about a year before I got that email saying we'd been successful. And then that, in a way, was when the hard work started, because that's when we had to, you know, make sure that we had all the funds in place, make sure we had all of the necessary people that were going to be able to build it, the architects and all of that. So yeah, it's been quite the journey, but it is an absolute game changer for Câr-y-Môr, and it means that we are pretty much future proof now for our land, our land HQ. Yeah.
I love that. And so you've already highlighted there the length of time that took, and of course then you really needed to lean on then perhaps another method to fund, so you went to the loan option.
We did.
Yeah, so that was from the growth guarantee scheme. That's correct, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. So, and that's a brilliant scheme for funders to support businesses like yours in some situations that you found yourselves in. So what was your experience around that? How did that come about? Where did you find out about it? And talk us through that process. Yeah,
of course. So we kind of had to find two pots of funding because Defra was 75%. So we had to find 25% match funding. So that we'd already got a loan for the best part of £400,000. And then we were working on our cash flow and everything. And we worked out that there would be anything from a gap of a week to 90 days between us spending the money and Defra paying it back into our bank account. So we just couldn't cover that in our cash flow at all. We were talking to Alan Jones at the WCBA in Wales.
Okay.
And we just, we don't know what we're going to do. We've already got a loan. We're not going to be able to pay this off at all. We can't make the sums add up. And he went away for about a day and came back straight away with the growth fund, and then he made the initial application to social investment business. At which point I was transferred over to Christian, and then it was a fairly straightforward application and due diligence. Really, they were incredibly helpful and supportive, and were flexible in what we needed. Fabulous. Which was amazing.
That's amazing. So what tips would you give to anyone else who finds themselves in a similar situation to what you were in back then and embarking on this?
I think the biggest thing I'd say on that is reach out to the people that have already helped you. So we've had a couple of small grants from the WCBA in the past, so thought if anyone knows, they will. So we spoke to them, and they did know. And don't be put off if you're a small organisation going for those big grants. It is complicated. It will be scary because the amounts of money you're talking about become so much bigger than you're used to. But there's help out there, and I think the key to it is don't be frightened to ask. You don't have to know everything in this. You know, there's lots of support, especially in Wales, and especially with the British Business Bank as well. The support's there if you reach out.
Yeah, sure. And what difference did it make as well, to especially the loan? What difference did that make to keep the project moving?
Well, it meant that we could pay our contractors.
Yeah.
And then we had enough money to pay the next lot of contractors while we waited for the first lot of contractors to come back from Defra. Yeah. If that makes sense. It's a very, it's just basically just your cash flow management. So it's not very exciting, but it is what stops projects in their tracks.
Absolutely. Yeah. That makes sense. So what piece, you've given some great advice already, but what kind of advice would you give to another community purpose-driven organisation who perhaps is already grant funded, and they're considering the loan, but they're a bit put off by the idea of having debt, and just going through that journey?
Yeah, it's definitely something to consider properly, taking on the debt. But I think it's important also to look at the big picture. If you want to grow your business and ultimately reach your goals of supporting the community, then you've kind of got to take that risk, or you're not going to be able to do it. So yeah, I think, and it's okay to reach out to your board and talk to people. It's not decisions you have to take on your own. And yeah, I think it's a way of getting the funds you need fairly quickly, and then that gives you the step up you need to really grow the income revenue side of the business.
Absolutely. And it's a great choice for a community-based company as well to have that blend, isn't it? It makes sense.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great. I think something that a lot of businesses forget, especially right in the early days as well, is that relationship that you've also developed with the funder, and how important that relationship is as well. How have you found finding investors or funders that understand your mission and your values?
Yeah, that is key to it, really. It's, nothing quite goes according to plan when you're in a startup and you're trying to do something new. And to have funders who understand, your aims and your strategy, but also, are realistic, and they understand that it's not going to be plain sailing. You're not going to get that project done in 9 months like you thought when you put the application in. Prices are going to go up. They're not very likely to go down. And yeah, just that flexibility, and that not applying too much pressure, and saying, well, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, but being open to picking up the phone, having a conversation, talking it out together, and finding the best path that leads you to be able to move towards your success, really.
Yeah, brilliant.
So, yeah.
Brilliant. And have you got any particular proud moments since the facility's been built? Anything that you're like, yes?
I'm super proud of it, actually. It was such I learned that when you start a construction project, the half of it happens underground. So for the first 6 months, it's just a big hole in the ground, and it's not very exciting. And then all of a sudden, they come in, and almost overnight, the sheet metal goes up, and then the roof goes on, and yeah, the guys are just putting the finishing touches to the inside now, and it's just amazing. I think one of my proudest moments so far has been going upstairs and looking at where our offices will be, and you can see the sea from there, and I think, oh yeah, that's nicer.
Oh, beautiful.
That's good. Yeah.
I have driven past it, and I'm really looking forward to opening. My in-laws have a caravan up that way. So I'll be visiting.
Brilliant.
Okay, so looking forward then, so for the next couple of years, what kind of impact are you hoping to achieve, both for the community and the environment, on the back of this facility being there? Let's have a dream.
What's my dream? Yeah, so to start off with, it will be creation and maintenance of local jobs that are year round, with decent pay, good skills, training, just giving young people and locals an option there. We're also really keen to showcase local fishermen as well, who it's very rare to see a fishmongers on the high street these days. It's quite rare to see one in a supermarket now. So that connection between what is available to eat in our local seas is slowly disappearing. So we're very keen to start showcasing local fishermen, local produce that's caught sustainably and is right there on our doorsteps. So really excited about that. We also run some education sessions with local school children, and we're hoping to expand that in the new facility as well. So there'll be hopefully some outside projects where they'll be able to grow vegetables over the year, using some of the seaweed biostimulants. So the whole sort of circle will hopefully become clear for the school children as well. And then in the future, community-wise, we'd love to start funding local projects and other people that want to start a seaweed farm. We'd be more than happy to help them with our journey so that they don't make some of the mistakes that we've obviously made over the course of it. So yeah, it's I think honestly the sky's the limit really. So it's very exciting.
Oh, brilliant. So okay, to wrap it up then, where can people go to find out more about Câr-y-Môr, or perhaps where to go to learn how they can support you?
So we have a lovely website which is câr-y-môr.wales.
Okay.
So yeah, you can find out a lot there. We've got currently got a crowdfunder going as well. If people are interested in financial support, that's open and on our website as well. There's a lovely film which is a lot more eloquent than I've been today, so it's well worth watching that to hear about the Community Benefit Society and what really motivates a lot of my colleagues. So definitely worth watching that. And yeah, feel free to get in touch by email or just pop in. We are just outside St David's.
Amazing. Well, Tracey, I think you've been very eloquent. I think you've been really passionate and really put across a fantastic description of a wonderful business there. So thank you so much for sharing all that you did. I've really enjoyed chatting to you. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you very much.
If you're working on something similar and wondering how to fund your next phase of growth, especially when managing cash flow during crucial build stages or taking on new assets, then stay with us. Jessica from the British Business Bank is here to explain how the Growth Guarantee Scheme can help support your goals and how to find the right lending partner.
The Growth Guarantee Scheme is designed to support access to finance for the UK's smaller businesses as they look to invest and grow. The scheme offers a wide range of products supported by different lenders, including term loans, overdrafts, asset finance, invoice finance, and asset-based lending. The Growth Guarantee Scheme can generally support facility sizes of up to £2 million and provides the lender with a 70% government-backed guarantee. Interest rates and fees charged by the lenders will vary and will depend on the specific lending proposal. The lender's pricing will take into account the benefit of the government guarantee and a fee that is charged to the lender for the guarantee. Businesses can use the finance for any legitimate business purpose. This can include managing cash flow and investment. However, businesses must be able to afford to take out additional debt finance for these purposes. Câr-y-Môr is a fantastic example of how a business has used the Growth Guarantee Scheme to cash flow critical project phases during their premises build. Head over to the British Business Bank website to take a look at the lenders accredited under the Growth Guarantee Scheme.
That's it for this episode of How They Funded It. If you found it useful, give us a follow or share it with someone building something meaningful. Join us next time as we meet another inspiring business and explore yet another route to funding success.